Welcome in TNC Radio.live. This is Keep On Talking. Now here are your hosts, Angie and Larry Baum.
Okay, you just said keep on talking. I just had to point that out. That was so funny.
And welcome to Taillights. And now here are your hosts, Larry and Angie Baum.
Oh my goodness, you're so funny. Welcome back, everybody. This is Angie with Taillights with the Baums. Larry will be joining us shortly, but tonight we've got some good friends of ours, Lisa and Scott, and they're actually out on the road. They took a little vacation this weekend, and so I'd like to just kind of introduce them. You want to come in and say hi, Lisa and Scott, and just kind of tell everybody a little bit about yourselves?
My name's Lisa, my husband's Scott, and we own a small trucking company. We've been driving for, I don't know. My husband's been driving for 38 years, and I've been with him for 25 of it. So we've been around the block a time or two.
Absolutely. So I was going to ask you guys, you guys are based up in Nebraska, and you guys are cow haulers, right? Livestock haulers?
We are livestock haulers. We kind of job hop, I guess. We have different seasons. We do different things. And right now we're in our seed corn season. So we're hauling a lot of seed corn for Pioneer.
Gotcha. Well, see, that's nice. It gives you a little bit of variety.
Well, we did straight livestock for 18 years, no breaks in it. And now we're kind of taking the breaks and hopping around a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to ask a question because I have never understood this, and maybe Scott knows it better than me. Well, and I don't know because I've never been a bull hauler, so I don't know. But why do they always say there's always an issue between bull haulers and regular truck drivers? It's always been like that's always the thing they talk about at the truck stops.
I don't know. I guess all the bull haulers think that they're better than everybody else, I guess. I guess I never thought of myself that way, but there's a lot of guys out there that think they got to be running the big Peterbilt and think they're better than everybody else. And I don't know. I mean, we've had a couple Peterbilts and just not what we like to run. And then now we're back to a Western Star, and this is the truck we like. So.
But don't think those bull haulers didn't make fun of us all the time when we were driving our Freightliner or our Western Star.
Yeah.
They got on us pretty hard about what we drove.
We still do. We still get it.
We still get it because we drive a Western Star Low Max. But they still give us a lot of crap because we don't have a Kenworth or a Peterbilt.
Yeah.
I was going to say, there's not too many livestock haulers out there that you see that's not either a Peterbilt or a Kenworth.
Yeah.
No, they have to have the fancy, shiny trucks and all the bells and whistles. And, I think that, and we did start out, we've had a Peterbilt. We've had two Peterbilt. We've had a Kenworth. But the older we get, the more we go for comfort over looks.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And our Western Star is so comfortable. But we still get razzed a lot about what we drive.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the trucking industry, isn't it? We always got to tease and pick on each other.
Oh, that. And then they pick on you if it's an automatic or if it's an 18-speed or 13-speed or 10-speed. Yeah, they always have to pick on each other.
So I was going to ask you, how did you two meet?
Oh, Lord. Shut the door. Okay. So this was so many years ago, like 25 years ago. And I was on a Yahoo chat line talking to some friends. And we were talking about this concert, Chris Ledoux concert. And this guy popped in my DMs and he said, "Hey, I'll take you to that concert tonight." I had no idea what he looked like. None. And he knew what I looked like because I had my picture on my page. But I had no idea. And I said, "Sure, I'll take a chance." And so I got to the bar and I was standing outside waiting to go in. This hot cowboy walks by me with his cowboy hat on and his Wranglers and the whole 9 yards. And he said, are you waiting for somebody? And I said, yes, I am. And he said, okay. And he walked up to the bar and got a beer. And then a couple minutes later, he walks back to me and he goes, you're waiting for me. And we have been inseparable ever since.
Okay, that's so cute.
Yeah, it was like he moved in his toothbrush and he never left.
Okay, that is so sweet. And how long have you guys been together now?
25 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been together 25 years.
No, I know you guys also have kids, so your kids grew up in the trucking industry too. So was it hard trying to, be a trucking family and raising children?
I knew what I had signed up for, Angie, when Scott's got to step out here for just a minute. I knew what I had signed up for because I grew up in the trucking industry. So I knew exactly what I had signed up for when I married my husband. My dad told me don't marry a truck driver. So what do? I marry a truck driver. And so it was hard, but our kids grew up in the truck. Our two daughters, I rode in the truck till I was probably 8 months pregnant. And then I took a break. We had our first daughter, and then we were right back in the truck again. And that happened again. So our kids grew up in the truck until they started kindergarten. And then it was the most heartbreaking experience in the world when we told them we have to stay home and go to school. They absolutely hated it. They had been, by the time they were in kindergarten, they had been to every state in the United States. And here I am telling them,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's like we can't go with dad anymore. And that was the most heartbreaking thing I had to ever tell them. Because that's what they love doing. So they started kindergarten.
Now, have any of your kids gone into trucking?
No. Sorry, no. We have two daughters. Our oldest daughter is, she programs computers for banks. And then our youngest daughter is going to nursing school. So no, we work really hard so we could put our kids through college. And that was something we just didn't feel would have been the right fit for them. Kind of in the world we live in now.
Yeah, absolutely. And a nurse and computer programming, that sounds like some pretty good jobs to me.
Yes, they're both amazing. Our oldest daughter has her master's degree, and our youngest daughter is starting her LPN program.
Wow. Yeah. So now you had the kids on the truck with you until they were in kindergarten. So you were, doing preschool and homeschooling them on the truck then?
Yes. Oh, they homeschooled in the most amazing way. We went to everything we could go to when we were on the road. We went to caverns, we went to caves, we went to zoos. I mean, we just took as much time on the road as we could to take them to different places.
That's amazing. That's so cool. And I bet by the time they got to kindergarten, they had so many stories they could tell. Now, did the girls ever go out like in the summertime with you guys?
Yes. And then every summer, us and the girls would get back in the truck and we would go until our kids started getting into 4-H and sports and stuff like that. And then, then they didn't really want to go anymore, which was kind of heartbreaking for Dad.
Oh, yeah. It's not cool anymore.
No. But he was home every weekend. We never worked weekends. And so on the weekend when he'd park that truck, after he'd do whatever he needed to do to the truck, we'd go somewhere. We'd go camping. We'd go fishing. We'd go boating. So we always did stuff with our kids on the weekend.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm sure they appreciated, especially the fact that he was able to be home every weekend, which a lot of truckers don't get that. That's amazing.
See, and I think that's a problem with the trucking industry is that, you want to get these amazing drivers, but you don't want to give them home time with their families. And, I think that, you're not going to get these amazing drivers if you don't let them spend time with their families.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's why the burnout rate is so bad in the trucking industry because they don't get enough home time. They're working too much on the road.
Yeah. And it makes me sad because, once Scott got out of that truck, we've always owned our own trucks. But once he got out of that truck, he was full focused on our kids and our family.
Yeah. We're going to take just a quick commercial break here. We're talking with Lisa and Scott, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. You are listening to Taillights with the Baums.
This blog on tncradio.live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. 5 ways to handle sickness on the road as a truck driver. Being sick on the road is one of the worst situations a truck driver could be in. As if being sick isn't bad enough, sickness on the road is 10 times worse. If you're sick at work, you can simply go home for the day and rest. This isn't the case for truck drivers. Truck drivers are hundreds and sometimes thousands of miles from their home. When a truck driver gets sick, it affects their ability to deliver their load on time. They also lose money while trying to recover. As a trucker, it's important to know how to handle sickness on the road. Here are 5 tips for you. Stay hydrated. Drinking water and electrolytes have a ton of benefits while you're sick. Water helps replace the fluids lost while loosening up mucus. Hot liquids also have benefits as well. The steam from hot liquids helps relieve congestion and soothe a sore throat. Stay clear of sugary drinks. They'll dehydrate you. Rest. Sometimes the best thing you can do while being sick is rest. Your health's more important than getting a load delivered on time. Plus, it can be dangerous to drive while you're sick. Take a day or 2 to rest and get better. Continuing to work while being sick will only drag out the healing time. Take medicine. If you start to feel sick, get medicine as soon as possible. Vitamin C supplements are great immune boosters. Also, avoid eating unhealthy, greasy foods. Eating properly keeps you healthy and boosts your immune system. If you're already sick, check to see which over-the-counter medicine would help the most. Talk to your dispatch. Let dispatch know what's going on. If you're sick, you may not be able to perform your daily duties, or you may not be able to drive at all. Don't rush recovery time. Rushing recovery time can result in re-injuring yourself. Truck drivers know that if their truck's parked, then they're not making money. It's better to take a week off to recover than try to work when you're not ready and further injuring yourself. This blog on tncradio.live was brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. tncradio.live, your commercial driver navigation station.
It's Truckers Life Radio from TFC Global with your host, Ron Frazier. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Here we're helping drivers as they travel life's highway. I love that. The spiritual side, drivers face a lot out on the road. Truckers Life Radio digs in on the spiritual and moral questions that drivers face on a daily basis. You don't want to miss it. Every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Welcome back, everybody. You are listening to Taillights with the Baums. I'm Angie, and Larry's back this time.
Hello, everybody.
So, Lisa and Scott, I figured I'd give you guys a chance to tell everybody about this cool thing you guys are going to. Was it Rednecks for Paychecks? Is that right?
Yeah, it's Rednecks with Paychecks. It's down in Munster, Texas. Actually, St. Joe, Texas. And it is just a bunch of rednecks with big toys that have way too much money on this weekend. Last year there was 33,000 people there, and it's just a bunch of rednecks out there in their trucks and their four-wheelers and their side-by-sides playing in the mud all weekend.
Okay, that sounds like heaven. I'm serious. I was like, I looked at some of the videos because I looked it up online. I was looking at some of the videos from last year. I'm like, oh my God, that looks like so much fun.
It is. It's actually, this is what, our 4th year?
Yeah.
Our 4th year that we've came out here, and it is, I tell you what, we're not as young as we used to be. And so by about 11 o'clock, I'm kind of spent and ready to take a shower and go to bed. But these kids, man, 3, 4 in the morning, and there's still the Energizer Bunny out there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I was going to ask you guys, what has been the hardest part of raising your family in the industry? I know we talked a little bit about it, but like when the kids got older, you know, did it get harder, or was it harder when they were younger?
It was harder when they got older, because, you know, Scott missed so many things. You know, concerts and plays and track meets and basketball games. And that was a little hard to explain to your kids why dad's not going to be there all the time. And that was really hard on the kids, but he always made it to the special things. You know, he might have not made it to every concert, but he'd make it to the, you know, the Christmas concert, or, you know, if it was state champion for basketball, he always made it to those things. But just missing that day-to-day stuff, what I think was the hardest for you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just don't take that into consideration. You know, they're like, oh, the wife's at home taking care of the kids, you know, but whoever's out there on the road, whether it's the husband or the wife, you know, because I know some friends it's reversed, you know, it takes quite a toll on them too, being away, missing all those activities and not being able to see the family. So
I think what the hardest on Scott is I'm a pretty independent woman. I always have been, and he'll tell you, ain't I? Yeah, I'm pretty independent. But, you know, when I have a really bad day, like one day, all in one day, Angie, I put the car in the ditch, and then I got home and I messed up the lawnmower, and then I shot a rock through my window in my truck with the lawnmower. And he just told me, and then I cut my hand on the glass.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and he's like, honey, you just need to go sit on the couch and not touch anything. Yeah. But I think that's the hardest on him, is not being ever there to help me if I need something.
Right. Oh my God, that's so funny. I swear to God, sometimes you tell me stuff that Scott says, I'm like, it sounds like something that would have came out of Larry's mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, he's pretty comical. He's like, just go sit on the couch. Do not touch anything the rest of the day. And I'm like, okay, I can do that.
Now, I mean, not only is trucking life hard on the kids, but it's also hard on the couples that are in it, you know, whether you're both on the road or one's at home. Or so how have you guys made your relationship work?
We are that kind of couple that if it's broke, you fix it. You don't throw it away. And my parents were married a long time, and my husband's parents have been married a long time. So we kind of learned that if it's broke, you fix it. You know, we've had our battles, our fights, and we don't fight that much, do we? No. But we are more of a joking couple than a very serious lovey-dovey. You know, you see some couples walking, and they're hand in hand and kissing. That's not us. If you see us walking down the street and there's a puddle, I'm going to shove him in it. It is what it is. We laugh at each other. We have fun with each other, and we always take time away for each other. You know, that's the most important thing, is going places with friends and doing things, and not just having them get off the road and sit at home and do nothing.
Right.
But we don't argue that much, but when we do, it's a doozy. But see, I'm lucky. If I don't want to talk to him, I hang up on him. Bad reception. Like,
oh my God. I used to do that when Larry was over the road and I was home. He'd make me so mad, and I'd be like, what? You're breaking up. I can't hear you. Click.
And we do that too. And I think he does that with me also. But, you know, you have to have your time away, and you have got to be the strongest people in the world to have that level of trust that you need with each other.
Absolutely.
That is the most important part, is just that trust you have with each other when you're apart for so much.
I can't agree with you more.
I remember one time, so I used to call Scott every morning at 8:00, regardless. I would get up, get the kids off to school, and I would call him. And one morning, I don't remember, I was up late the night before,
You were doing auctions.
Oh, I was doing auctions, and I was out like a light. And he tried to call me and call me and call me. I didn't hear the phone. And next thing, there's like this humongous banging on my front door. I mean, it's like someone was trying to kick in my front door. And he had sent the sheriff to the house to make sure I was okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm okay. I'm okay, Remick. I'm good. He's like, okay, Lisa. Scott called the police station. Just want to make sure.
Well, yeah, it's got to be hard because he has no idea what's going on, and if he can't get a hold of you, you know, I can feel and see where the panic's going to set in.
And it was panic for him.
Oh yeah.
It was, you know, because I religiously called him every morning, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't that day. And his panic set in. He called the sheriff's office and, can you go to my house?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I was going to ask you, so what is like the funniest thing that's ever happened between you guys, like on the road? A funny situation.
Lord, he can tell you this one. What happened to me?
We were out in Wyoming, and we stayed in Rawlings at night. We had to be out of this ranch 7:00 the next morning to load cabs to come back to Nebraska. And we got up like 5:00 in the morning, left Rawlings. We had to load out by Albany, and it was kind of starting to get light out. Yeah, of course, she was still in bed, and we were driving down this little blacktop going out toward this ranch, and the hills out there are it's pretty hilly. I mean, it's not like mountains, but it's hilly, and I was driving along, and I was going out there, and it was just getting light, and I topped a hill, and all I saw was steam in the middle of the road. And by the time I started rolling down the other side, the lights hit. Big old elk standing right smack dab in the middle of the road. I slammed on the brakes. She went flying out of the bunk onto the floor, smacked her head on the freaking the side cover.
Oh, I was so mad.
Oh my God.
On purpose.
I did. I said, what the hell? I thought he was trying to get me up.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's happened to us too. That's happened to us too. We'll be in the middle of a fight, and he'll like have to slam on his brakes for construction. I'll be like, what are you trying to throw me out of the bed?
Yeah. He threw me out of bed, Angie. I went flying out of that back bunk, smacked my head on the cupboard, landed on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so mad at him.
Yeah. At that time we were driving a flat top Pete, and you know, everybody knows that there's no room in the back of them sleepers, and yeah, she hit pretty much everything down on the way to the floor.
I did.
Oh my God. Did you get hurt, or were you just like stunned?
Well,
Her pride.
I was so mad at him. I right there and then I could have signed divorce papers and been done. I was so angry. He's like, honey, there's a moose. And I'm like, sure there was.
It was an elk.
He's like,
I'm like, sure there was, honey.
I think if I slammed on the brakes, Angie could probably roll 4 or 5 times before she gets the front.
That's true. Now. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're talking with Scott and Lisa. And when we come back, we're going to talk to him. I remember Lisa telling me about an accident that had happened with him. And so we're going to talk about that when we come back. You are listening to Taillights with the Baums. We'll be back in just a few moments.
Be sure to listen to Building Strong Minds with Dr. Chris, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, right here on tncradio.live.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Corcoran, and now for the Mental Health Minute. Have you ever had one of those days where you just don't feel like going to the gym? I haven't had one of those since last night, I guess. Yeah, they happen. They happen to all of us. And I want to talk about some options we have when that should happen. I like to think we have 4 basic categories of responses, of choices we could make. For me, It's easy when I say to myself, this is not an option. It's mandatory. My workouts are mandatory. They're scheduled just like my patients, and I would not dare to stand up a patient, and I don't miss my workouts. It's very easy for me that way. It's in my head. That's how I think about it, and that's how it gets done. But, you know, I ran into a guy in the gym who said, I'm having one of those days, but I'm here, and I'm just not going to work myself very hard. I'm here, and I'm going to do a few sets, and that's enough for me today. And then I read some things recently who said, you know, if you have a day like that and you don't feel like going in, you don't have to go. That's the third option. You can say to yourself, you get a day off today. And a fourth option is you can do something else. You can go for a bike ride or a swim or go for a walk or, you know, whatever it is you want to do. Just research is saying move. Just move. But most importantly is what you say to yourself. And I'm always going to encourage you to talk to yourself like you would a child that you love or a friend that you care about and say it's okay. It's all right. These things happen. And when you fall off the bike, you got to just get back on. The next day, get back to the gym and just pick up where you left off.
Catch Mind Your Trucking Business Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern with James Rogers, Jamie Irvine, and Tom Kelly. They provide expert advice about starting, operating, and growing a professional trucking business. It's Mind Your Trucking Business on tncradio.live.
I'm Hope Savara. Join us on tncradio.live at 7 p.m. Eastern with Building Strong Minds with your host, Dr. Christopher Cortman.
How dare you?
Pretty good.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Tail Lights with the Baums. While we were in commercial break, we were talking about some incidents where our husbands had to slam on the brakes and us two women went flying. But I thought that was a really good point to bring up. And so we always talk about when you're driving down the road and you guys are in your cars and you see a semi-truck, you know, you got to remember we can't stop on a dime, number one. And number two, a lot of times these trucks have more than one passenger in it. And if somebody's in that back bunk, like for example, myself or Lisa, and they have to slam on their brakes, the person in the back has got a big chance of being injured. So please don't brake check us or get in front of us and get mad and slam on your brakes. Just be aware it's harder for us to slow down than it is for you. So I just thought that was a good point. But Lisa, I remember you and I had talked, and you had mentioned about an accident that had happened in your truck, and I figured I'd let you guys kind of tell what happened there.
That was probably one of the worst days of my life. But I'll let Scott, I wasn't with him in the truck, but I got that phone call, and that is a trucker's wife's worst phone call you could ever get. And I'll let him tell what happened that day.
What was it? 7 years? No, it was longer. 7 years
about
ago?
7, 8 years ago.
Yeah, I unloaded baby pigs out in Colorado, and it's coming back out by Goodland, and I was coming back. I was empty, had a full boarded up trailer, livestock trailer, and I was over by Rexford, Kansas. And I don't know, I was doing probably 40, 45 because the wind was pretty strong out of the northwest. And I come around that curve and I come out from behind the gas station and the elevator out to the east side, and the wind picked up the trailer, and then it picked up the drives. The only thing I still had on the ground was my steering tires. And by the time I got slowed down and drove down into the ditch, I was pretty much stopped and everything flopped down on its side. And it was a ride I really don't want to do again.
He said it was like slow motion.
It was. The front went down first, and then the cab, and then the front end of the cab went down fairly soft, but man, when that trailer went, it flopped all at once, and I was pretty much at a dead stop when it flopped, and it ripped our hood off and blew the passenger side window out, and we had an Aerodyne sleeper, and it totally blew the whole freaking sleeper roof totally off. I mean, it was still connected, but you could see daylight all the way around the top of it.
But the thing is, Angie,
wow,
and Larry, no, but it took how long before somebody stopped?
Well, there was not a lot of traffic on that road when it happened, and I don't know. There was a couple grain haulers that stopped and made sure I was all right, but I'm the one that ended up calling the fire and rescue in Rexford, and I don't know. They got there way before the state patrol did, and
he called me and said that he just laid the truck and trailer over, which of course is a wife's worst nightmare.
Oh, absolutely.
And I was at home about 3.5 hours away.
Yeah.
About 3.5 hours away, and he said, "Honey, I just laid the truck and trailer over." So I said, "Whatever. You're so full of crap." I said, "Whatever. I don't even have time for you this morning." And he's like, "No, I did." And I said, "Seriously?" And he said, "Yes, I did. The ambulance is on their way." He goes, "But I'm fine." And I said, "You need to go be checked out." And he said, "No, I'm fine. And I said, "Is the sheriff there?" And he said, "Yep, the sheriff is here." And I said, "Let me talk to him." So the sheriff got on the phone, and I said, "My husband needs to get in that ambulance and go be checked out." And that sheriff said, "He doesn't want to go, and I can't make him." And I said, "You got two choices here, dude." I said, "Either he gets in the ambulance and goes, or when I get up there, you'll be in the ambulance." And he looked at my husband and said, "You better get in that ambulance and go be checked out." He's terrified of me, I think. And it didn't really hit me at all until because I had to drive by the accident to get to the hospital. So I was pretty calm and cool and collect until I drove by and saw our truck. And you know, when you open up a can of biscuits, that's what our truck looked like. There was nothing left of our truck. I mean, it was absolutely totaled. I thought, how did this man walk away without a scratch? And
I was just going to ask you if he was injured.
No, nothing. Absolutely. And our truck was I sent you the pictures. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
And he walked away without a scratch.
To go to the hospital.
He had to go to the hospital. I made him.
I would have done the same thing.
Terrified of me. But that was a really, really hard day for us because, we'd been in trucking a long, long time. My husband had been driving 30 years before this accident. And we always tell people it's not if you're going to have an accident, it's when you're going to have an accident.
Mostly running a bull rack.
Especially running a bull rack, because we've drove many times where my husband will ask me what lane's the trailer in. And I'm like, not in the lane we're in.
Yeah.
Because they're like balloons.
They're like parachute. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. I can see that because of all the airflow going through.
Yeah.
It.
Yeah, because there was a time we were out in western Nebraska and we were supposed to be going clear out by Crawford to load kill cows back to Omaha, and we were up by St. Paul and we come out behind these windbreak, and it lifted the trailer off the ground, and I asked the wife, where's the trailer? And she said, it's not in our lane. And by that time we were totally shoved into the other lane onto the shoulder before we got slowed down and the trailer got back down on the ground. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, maybe we ought to park for a while.
Yeah. I mean, it's very scary when you're pulling one of those racks and you're empty.
Yeah.
I never would have thought that, but now that you said that makes complete sense.
Yeah. It's a very scary situation. I mean, and we've done it for a long time, and so you never think that something like that's going to happen with with such an experienced driver. 30 years behind that wheel, and we've had a lot of close calls. My husband has ran from tornadoes. We've drove in blizzards. We were driving one time and there was a tornado behind us.
Oh my goodness.
But when you're loaded with cattle, you do not stop. You can't. You don't. Blizzard, rain, storm, tornado, tropical storm. You're driving through it. You're done.
That's crazy. We actually ran into a tornado last year. It was the first time I'd ever been in a truck, and because I've been doing the weather for Trucker Safety Info, and I had done the weather that morning, and like a dingbat, I forgot, right? I did the weather, and I knew there was a tornado possibility, and I'm driving down the road, I'm like, okay, this weather just does not look right. I'm going to pull off on the shoulder, and like, the moment I pulled over on the shoulder and I pulled my brake, all of a sudden you see the tornado passing right in front of my truck. I'm like, oh my God, thank God I stopped when I did.
Yeah, and the bad thing of it is there's nowhere you can go. I mean, there's nowhere safe. I mean, you're pretty much.
Yeah, you're pretty much at the mercy of the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can pull over the side of the road, but if there's a tornado, what do you do?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's going to tip you right over or move you around. I mean, we see semi trucks tipped over all the time due to just severe winds, not to mention a tornado.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's bad, but even pulling a bull rack, it just seems like it's just a little bit harder. And I think maybe that's why the bull haulers think, they're all that in a bag of chips. Because they do have live animals on, and we are responsible to make sure they get there alive. And that's a big responsibility when you've got livestock in the back, whether they're going to a farm or a ranch or wherever they're going, you still have to make sure they get there alive.
And not being hurt.
Absolutely. We're going to take another quick commercial break. When we come back, I do want to talk to you about that because livestock hauling is completely different than anything we've ever done. And I know there's a lot of things that go along with it, to keep the animals safe and having to take them out to give them a break and stuff. So we're going to take just a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we'll be talking with Lisa and Scott. You are listening to Taillights with the Baums.
Front Lane introduces Impulse, the world's first collision alert system for the driver behind you when you have to brake hard. Impulse uses ultra-bright pulsing red LEDs to alert drivers behind you who might not be giving their full attention to the road. Using amazing accelerometer technology and a battery that will last for years, Impulse installs in minutes, fits nearly any vehicle, and never requires additional wiring. Drivers react 50% faster, helping to protect you and your passengers. Learn more by visiting www.frontlane.com/impulse. That's www.frontlane.com/impulse. Approved by all 50 states. Impulse by Front Lane.
This info blog on tncradio.live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. 6 things to consider before starting your career in trucking. Truck drivers are often referred to as the backbone of America. They haul roughly 70% of America's freight. Nearly every good consumed in the United States has been shipped by a truck. Right now, the demand for truck drivers is higher than ever. The growing truck driver shortage in America is a topic of concern and has been for the past 4 years. The United States is in dire need of people to start driving trucks. Are you considering becoming a truck driver, but not quite sure if it's the career path for you? Here are 6 things potential truck drivers need to know before starting their career in the trucking industry. Know your why. Why do I want to become a truck driver? Is one of the first questions you should ask yourself before starting your career in trucking. Knowing and understanding your why is important so that you make sure that trucking is something you'll enjoy. Nothing is more draining than working in a career field that you're not passionate about and excited about. Truck drivers are already more likely to struggle with mental health problems because of the trucking lifestyle. So to avoid dreading your trucking career, ask yourself, why do I want to be a truck driver? Long work hours. It's obvious that truck drivers spend a majority of their workday in the driver's seat, but many new drivers don't realize how hard it can be sitting for long periods. Drivers spend hours upon hours sitting down. This can result in leg, back, and neck pain. If you're the type of person who cannot handle sitting down for several hours at a time, then truck driving's not for you. Another thing to consider is how long a typical workday is for a truck driver. Drivers are legally allowed to work 14 hours a day, but are limited to 11 hours of driving time. They must take a mandatory 30-minute break by the 8th hour of duty. Following the long workday, drivers must have 10 hours of off-duty time. In a work week, drivers cannot exceed more than 60 hours of work or 70 hours over 8 days. Failure to follow these HOS rules can result in being shut down, fines, and lower carrier safety ratings. A new lifestyle. There's not a career quite like trucking. It's nothing like your typical 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job. It's long hours, days, and most times weeks away from home. Truck drivers often experience loneliness, depression, and anxiety. If you're someone who's used to working with many people, then truck driving will be a shock. Drivers will go days or weeks without seeing their loved ones, and it can really take a toll on truckers, especially those who are new. Adjusting to this lifestyle can be challenging at first, but once you do, you can live a rewarding life as a truck driver. Getting seat time. The more experience you have as a truck driver, the better. With more experience, you'll land better truck driving jobs and better pay. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, truck drivers earn an average of over $40,000 a year. Yet, many trucking companies advertise higher rates of pay for experienced drivers. Over time, you can negotiate a higher rate per mile. Your relationships will suffer. It doesn't matter if you're on the road or at home. Make time for family. Make it a priority to talk to someone in your family once a day. It can be tough for truckers, especially long-haul truck drivers, to maintain relationships with their families due to the trucking lifestyle. Keeping in contact with your loved ones will help life on the road be less lonely. Lack of sleep. Getting the recommended amount of sleep each night is a rare thing for truckers. Although sleep may be difficult for truckers because of the uncomfortable way of living, it's essential to their well-being and safety. Make it a priority to get good sleep and make a sleep schedule. Set an alarm for a certain time and turn off all electronics and get your much-needed sleep. Not getting enough sleep makes life on the road miserable. Although there may seem like many downsides, truck driving can be a very rewarding and exciting career. As a truck driver, you have freedom on the open road and a chance to see America's most beautiful places. For information on trucking, be sure to check out the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
TNCRadio.live, your commercial driver navigation station.
Ready for a music break? Did you know that you can use the TNCRadio.live app to hear the best in traditional country? Traditional country, you know, the good stuff from the 50s and 60s and on. Traditional country is more than a time period. It's a style and approach to music that we cherish. We have an incredible collection of songs that define country music and also sprinkle in some Western music, you know, cowboy music, bluegrass, Americana, and country gospel. Our TRUSA president and country Western music icon, Rex Allen Jr., also hosts an hour of music and memories. At TRUSA, we have a heart for the road and the heritage of country music. Wherever you roam, we hope you'll take us with you. Enjoy the ride on Truckers Radio USA. To listen to TRUSA Radio on the TNCRadio.live app, just click on the music button and then TRUSA.
Welcome back, everybody. You are listening to Taillights with the Baums. I'm your host, Angie, and I'm here with Larry. Say hi.
Hi, everybody.
We've been talking with Lisa and Scott. And so I guess one of the questions, a lot of people don't know a whole lot of, what it all entails with you guys hauling livestock and cows and stuff. And, I know that you guys have to, under a very tight timeline, and then you also have to make sure that you take breaks to let the animals out or whatever. But can you tell us a little bit about maybe some things we may not know about cattle hauling?
There's no breaks, Angie. Once you load, you don't stop.
Really?
Yeah, you load in no matter where you are, you're a straight through stop. I think that what people don't understand is we used to drive a lot at night in the summer because it's so hot. And the livestock get hot too. We used to have to stop at a truck stop and hose them down. In our cattle pot, when we hauled pigs, we had a watering system in there.
Yeah.
So we'd stop at a truck stop, screw in the hose, and it would water all the way through the trailer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there's no stopping in livestock. There's no blizzard, like I said, blizzard, tornado, tropical storm. It does not matter. You're driving through it.
Yeah. If the road's closed, you got to find a way around it.
That's the biggest thing. If the interstate's closed, you better know how to get around it.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you can't stop.
Now, like if you're hauling a load of cattle, how long do you usually drive with them? Or how long are your loads, I guess is what I'm asking.
I know.
There's been some 15-hour drives.
Wow.
When you do like spring rush and fall rush, it's pretty much 24.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of sleep.
You don't get a lot of sleep.
So are you exempt from a logbook?
You are.
That's what we figured. We figured because you're hauling livestock. There's exemptions.
You don't have to do e-logs, you do paper logs.
Yeah.
The old coloring books.
Yep, we do. The livestock is still until it changes, we still color with colored pencils. And that's how it's always been.
Yeah.
But you learn to adapt to no sleep. You learn to not be able to stop. That's the hardest thing. You can't be taking a livestock load from Kentucky to Kansas and stop and have a meal.
Right.
When we would fill up with gas,
keep on going.
Yep. When we would fill up with gas, I lived on truck stop burritos and pizza and chicken strips.
Yeah. Or pack whatever you can in the truck.
Now that's another thing. I usually cook all of our own meals and then I put them in our fridge. So a lot of times when Scott's driving on the road, I'm making dinner in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah, so I'm heating up chicken and I'm spoon feeding, I'm putting a piece on a fork and handing it to him, so he could eat, but it's a lot of that. It's hard and it'll wear on you and it's not for the weak. Some of these livestock callers say it's easy. It's not. Don't let them ever tell you it's easy because it is not easy. Scott's had, stitches and
staples
and bruises and probably a broken rib here or two that he never really said anything about. I've been pinned by that nasty boar. You get your butt kicked and handed to you.
I can only imagine. Yeah. No. How often do you have to stop to let the animals out at all, or do you just keep going until the end?
Yep, you go till if the thing is before they get on your trailer, they're vet checked. And
right.
you get a vet bill. If you unload them somewhere, if you would have to unload them somewhere, they would need to be vet checked again before they get back on your trailer.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So you've got your bill, your vet bills, and you cannot let them off.
Yeah.
When we were hauling breeding stock hogs for 8 years, there were even truck stops we couldn't stop at.
And roads we couldn't
drive on because we couldn't drive by a regular hog plant.
Yeah.
Or we couldn't go through Guyman, Oklahoma. Or we couldn't stop at this truck stop because there's a lot of cattle haulers that stop there or regular pig haulers that stop there. So sometimes we'd have to go 300 miles out of our way just to avoid all these places you can't stop at.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
that would make it hard.
You know, they didn't want to have the barn break out.
Yeah. Get disease.
Or get diseases. And, you know, these pigs were very expensive.
Yeah.
They're breeding stock hogs. You know, they're the cream of the cream of the cream piggies.
Yep.
Cream of the cream piggies. I love that.
Yeah. You want to tuck them in and read them a bedtime story. It's insane. Some of the rules you have to go by.
Oh my goodness. Well, see, that explains so much because I always I'm just like, they always pass me going so fast. And I'm like, I understand why, because they're hauling livestock. But it's like, you know, the fact you were talking about the wind and how windy the trailer gets. It's like, I feel like I've learned so much tonight.
You do. I never want to drive next to a livestock hauler. Because, you know, they have complete control, but the trailers are just crazy insane as thin as they are, and they're just, you know, when you're not loaded, you're just blowing out. You're at the mercy of the wind.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. It's kind of like when we were pulling doubles. If we were empty, it was a nightmare.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll ever change. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. But, you know, once you load these babies on your truck, there's no stopping. It's not. You're just long enough to fuel.
That's crazy. Well, we're almost at the end of the show, and I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show. And I think we're going to have you on again because we need, I know there's so many more questions that I need to ask you guys.
Oh my God, I had so much fun. We will be on your show anytime. You just have to ask us.
Absolutely. We just want to remind everybody that coming up next, we've got Clutch Time Sports with Anderson and Banker. So if you're a sports fan, please be sure to stick around for these two guys. They're awesome. Larry and I listen to their show every week. Don't forget, you can also listen to Larry and I next Wednesday right here, 7 p.m. Central on Taillights with the Baums. And last but not least, you can follow Larry and I on Facebook and TikTok at Married to the Road. And also we have our new podcast out, Trekking True Crime. So if you're a true crime fan, you're going to love our new podcast. It's all about true crime stories in the trekking industry. So be sure to look it up wherever you listen to your podcast. And Lisa and Scott, thank you so much for being with us again. And we will definitely have you back on the show.
Oh, we love you guys. And I will talk to you later.
All right. Thank you guys. And thanks everybody. Be safe out there. And we'll see you next Wednesday at Taillights with the Baums.